Hi, a warm welcome to my craft room, and we're going to use gloss paper by Ranger and these wonderful Stampscape sets. Now, if you haven't seen Stampscapes, they are absolutely dreamy stamps. They're actually scenes that you put together, and they're seamless as you're building different landscapes or seascapes in this case. And I thought I would case a card that I saw over on the Stampscape channel. You can get the Stampscape stamps in three forms: the wooden blocks, the pre-cut, which have the foam on the back, or this way where you cut them out yourself, and I like them anyway. The owner, Kevin Nakagawa, yes, is the owner, illustrator, and the designer of these beautiful stamps, and he made them so that they're seamless when put together, building beautiful nature scenes and ocean scenes in this case. And I also have a butterfly that he created. I like all of the Stampscapes actually. I love the idea of building, so we're going to do that today. I'm going to do this, and I called it Calm Before the Storm. And here is a beautiful wave, but I'm going to take out that bottom portion. I only need the actual wave on the page here. So I want to position it so I have room to put the other waves, and I'm making sure that there's no ink on this. Well, as much as possible, I'm going to take off of that area so that I can add the waves. And this is a case card. Kevin did this card, but I ended up doing it more or less in my style, and as I was practicing, because that's what we do, right? We get inspired by something we see, and then we put it into, when we case it, we put it into our own style. And here I've added the bottom, and look how beautifully they just connect. It's amazing. And I didn't have a moon or a sun stamp that Kevin had used in his card, but I did have this. It's a swarm of dots. It actually looks like a pear, but I think it's actually to look like a swarm. It has little dots, but it's in the shape of a pear. So I took some paper towel, and I'm masking it out, and I'm cutting out right here with my scissors a little round circle, and I'm making it look like a sun or a moon. I think in this case it was more of a moon. So as you can see, I'm going to stamp it with my detailed black ink, and I'm going to, there's my moon, and I'm going to take a little bit of that ink off the bottom. I just want that swirl and the circle of the image, that it looks like a moon underneath the wave. And it's pretty unique. When you go to Stampscapes, look up this card. I'll try to remember to link that video. And you can take all different stamps and mold them together with his stamps, and I'm sure it would look absolutely beautiful. The next card I make, I'm going to do it with a wilderness scene and more colors, vibrant colors. But this one I wanted more monochromatic, and here I am just masking off so I get just a little bit more of the wave right there. As I was practicing this card last night, I knew it was a practice card, but I did turn the camera on because I thought if it turned out at all, I'd put it up to show you how simplistic it is to mold these stamps together, because they are so seamless and beautiful. So I'll try to link his card up so you can see the difference between what Kevin created to what I created with my own style. Now I'm adding a little bit more wave just in here, but I know I'm going to add some ink in by the moon there, so I wasn't concerned that it was exact. So here I am just adding another little piece so it came down and attached itself to the other wave. And now I'm going to start in with the clouds. Now the cluster of clouds, I'm just putting them anywhere. And as you can see on here, you don't see the picture of it. So I put a little piece of my medical tape and I wrote the word top. So I knew which was the top of the card, the top of the clouds every time I stamped it out. And because like I said, I'm going to ink in all of the dark places, it will look like they are all together. So I'm masking off the wave and I'm coming around with the ink, and I just added some water so it could sit there and I could clean them off a little later. So this is how I decided to put all of the clouds around here. I'll show you, I'll zoom in, and we are going to begin creating calm before the storm. Aren't those puffy clouds? And you can see how the images are done with little dots. It's totally amazing. I know that there's a name for that, but I can't think of it at the top of my head. So I take my applicator and I literally pounce on the black ink. And this, I'm sticking with the detail black ink, and this is what I use for my sentiments all the time. And I'm coming around and I am filling in the white spaces. And as you can see, I'm pouncing on the edge of my applicator, not the full applicator. Otherwise, you're going to get that pear-shaped of the form of the actual foam that you're putting the ink on. I found when I pounced the ink on, I did it very lightly, and I did it on the corner of the applicator, as you can see here. And the VersaFine black, onyx black ink worked wonderfully. I know that on the card, the owner uses Marvy inks. They're dye-based inks, and I wanted to practice on this glossy paper to see if other inks would work, because we don't all own the same type inks. And so I pulled out some Stampin' Up! Ink, which is a water-based dye ink, the VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I also pulled out the Hero Arts Ombre inks, and I used those as well. Now, the Hero Arts inks, they're fade resistant on glossy papers. That's what I really loved about it, and they're waterproof. And they're permanent, so it worked really well on to add the color. And I'm coming in under the waves to make a shadow, and I wanted this to look very turbulent. That's why I took out some of the cloud coverage, because you know how clouds move and they're not clumped together when it is a storm. I've been out on the water fishing, and when it has gotten where the sun has gone down and the clouds are coming in, they don't come in all together. They're just moving across the sky, and that is what I wanted to portray in this card, was just a little group of clouds coming across this turbulent ocean, and the moon there, and you just run away. Your mind runs away when you're creating with Stampscapes. It is beautiful. So I'm tapping in underneath the wave, because I want it to be quite dark near this moon. And you want to be careful that you don't leave any, it has to be very light, because you don't want to leave any corner marks on your, from the applicator. So I am just going around, but I am going to add some white. The Color Box white pigment ink is amazing when you want to add white to anything. I love that ink, and I know that the video that I cased, he used that as well, and I had it, so I thought, why not? I'll use that too, because I have it. So here I'm going in, and it doesn't look like much right here as I'm looking at it. It kind of looks like a little bit of a hot mess up in the dark areas. So I took the Hero Arts Ombre ink, and I'm using some mauve, and I'm putting it up into the clouds there. And for some reason, it looks like I have, because of the gloss paper, it's hitting the light. And yeah, you're getting a little bit of shadow. I apologize for that. So I'm going back around the moon with some of that deep, it's a violet type, and then I grabbed the yellow. See, you can see it up in the top part there, how it's that violet. I go into the clouds with that on each side. Then I want to add an undertone color of yellow with the moon, but I'm going to take that out eventually, but I'm going to need it to be a little deep so you could see it. When I added the ink, I took a Q-tip, and here's where I used the pigment ink, the white color box pigment ink. It's beautiful. I tap it into the moon, and now I go up into my cloud coverage, and the Q-tip adds such a puffy element when you're adding ink. So I was able to poof those clouds out exactly where I wanted them. If they weren't there and I wanted clouds, I added them. See? And I'm telling you, you can actually draw what you want if you're doing it more monochromatic. So I'm tapping more as it dries. I'm adding more to the moon, and I like the undertone of the yellow. And here I am adding that froth on the ocean wave. That's how I picture it, like a frothy white scary night. Boy, I wouldn't want to be out on the ocean. Can you imagine it when the sky was dark and black and the clouds were rolling by and a storm was heading in? Whoa. As I'm pouncing away with the pigment ink, I wanted you to notice that when I worked on one corner of the clouds, and say in the upper left, and I added some yellow, some violet, some pink, I moved in on the other side as well so that they kind of met towards the middle, not in the middle, but towards the middle, so you have the same colors. And when you pounce the white pigment ink on the black, and if there was any color underneath that you are going over, it will draw it up, and it looks so pretty. It really does. So I'm taking the white pigment ink and I'm making the froth. I picture it like a froth on the ocean waves, that real, that foaminess of the wave. And I took my applicator for my pan pastels here. This is where I'm taking the Stampin' Up! Ink, the Bashful Blue, and I'm adding it because it has the point on here, and I'm able to get up into those little fine points of the actual wave. And then I grab the same blue and I'm running across the waves really lightly. I'm hardly putting any pressure on this applicator here. And that's why I'm able to move it around and back and forth. There I'm pouncing. I'm adding some more color to the waves with the Hero Arts ombre blues. I'm trying to get as much of the color that I want on here before I take my detail black ink again. That's what I'm doing here, because it dries lighter, right? So wherever you want the dark black to be, I just go over it again and again. Now I'm adding that froth with the pigment ink, but I actually take my white jar of Copic Multiliner liquid, and I use one of my little picks, and I draw it on the outside so that I get some three-dimensional foam on the waves. I'll show you in just a little bit. I'm going back over the moon to make it a little darker just in the upper left-hand side, as you can see. And I'm really sorry for the shadows. It's the glossy paper. I didn't realize every time I put my hand on it, I'm moving it, and it's, yeah, you're getting that glare. So here we go. I'm adding some more of the white pigment ink around where I picture these waves to be, foaming kind of. And then I take my point on the pan pastel applicator and I'm working it out into the blue. And then I'll go back in and I will detail the black with the black ink. I'm adding some of the, taking off more of the edge, you know, the dotted look from me putting it on with the Q-tip. And I'm running it into the different blues so that it just has a real pretty sky, you know, with the yellow peeking out of some of the clouds. See up in the right hand corner, you see the yellow peeking out. And then you'll see some of the violet on the right hand side coming through. So pretty. Now I'm pouncing more of the white pigment ink as it dries, because this ink is drying quite quickly for me on the glossy cardstock, which is nice. And I love the way the moon with the black there. There I'm using the Ombre Ink, and this is in the blues. It's the blue hues of the Ombre Ink, and I'm running it through because it has a dark, a mid-tone, and a light on the ink pad. So it's really nice. I'm able to apply my mid-tones where I want them and my dark where I want them. And I actually go over the black ink with the dark blue, just so that if you move the card in different directions, you get the shadows of the that ombre effect. It's not only black, but you get the violet, excuse me, and you get the black showing through. Very vibrant and very, very pretty. So I pounce in what I want with my pigment ink, with the color box pigment ink, and to break up the actual blue ink. And then I grab, this is so funny, I grab these little seagull stamps. Now I thought later on I'm going to put that on the moon too, but what's really funny is when I stamped it, the two birds and the large bird end up looking like a smile on the moon. So at the end, when I do the card, I ran in this morning and I took some white pigment ink and I took out the bottom large bird so the moon didn't look like it was had two eyes and a mouth. Yeah, I noticed that right off the bat. It's so funny. What you know, when you go back in and look. Now see, looks like two eyes and a smile. So cute. Yeah, if I didn't want it to be like so dramatic, I would have left it in there because it is kind of cute. So I'm tapping back in the froth because it has dried, and I want to see where I'm going to apply my Copic Multiliner white ink. And I'm just tapping dots because I am going to take my Pan Pastel applicator here, and I'm going to just tap it. I'm not dragging it, believe it or not. It looks like I am, but I'm not. I'm tapping it down so that I get that frosty look, a completely different look from the clouds. I wanted them to look different because they are, the colors are running from, you know, the clouds to the actual waves. Now here is the Copic Multiliner liquid. And I take my micro brush because it has a little bit of the point on the end of it. It has some fibers on the end of it. And I am making the froth out of the Copic Multiliner because it's a thick ink. And I am adding it to the tops of the waves. And oh my, it just sets the waves apart from the clouds. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted the eye to be drawn to the waves and how frothy they were and how the sky, that's why I couldn't have that smiley face on my moon. Every time it's drawing my eye to that bird that looks like a smile. I can't have that. So this morning when I got up, I waited for it to thoroughly dry, and then I took my pigment ink. And in the last picture that I leave with you, you'll see that it's not in there. And that way the seagulls just look like they're flying across the moon, and I don't have that smile on there. Yeah, see? You don't want a smiling moon when it's turbulent. Actually, that's what I thought. Now I'm taking the Tim Holtz flicker thing there, and I grabbed some of my Copic Multiliner, and I'm adding little dots. Like I'm just adding some I think it needed that. I wanted little stars in the sky, and I wanted it to rain down onto the actual frothy ocean waves. and that worked perfect. I dipped it into the jar, and now I just grabbed the end of the, it's got such nice detailed flicking motion to it. You just grab your hand and you flick it across there, and we are going to finish up with the Copic Multiliner, and it gives the illusion of little twinkling star lit sky. Now I need to make a card base, and I decide to put baby blue, but just a hair behind the actual scene here. See that color? That's a Stampin' Up cardstock. And then I wanted to add the pink. I grabbed the pink from my stash, and I'm just adding some tape runner, excuse me, and I put it on the pink, but it's so fine. You just see a hair of the color. See there? So that it brings out the pink in the sky, it brings out the blues in the sky, and I'm telling you, as I look at it and I see that smile on my moon right there, it makes me think of how the Lord would just send the moon there so that you don't have to worry. And there's a nice smile on it. Like, I did see that in the card, but I did take it out this morning. When I add my calm before the storm sentiment on here, I may put it back. I don't know. It's all how you look at the card, right? What you see. And here I'm adding my double-sided tape to raise it up from the black cardstock. This is the 120-pound black cardstock I get at Michael's. It is so thick and wonderful. I encourage you to look at Michael's when you go. Use your 40% coupon and you've got yourself a thick, wonderful card base. As far as the black, comes in white as well. And there you have it. And then I grab my 140-pound white cardstock for my white card base here. I fold it down, I score it with my Teflon bone folder, and then I added some tape to the back, my tape runner, because it's already raised up, and I place it down here, and I will add the sentiment. And I thank you as always for joining me on this journey with my Stampscapes stamps. I'm really happy with it, except for my happy moon. Yeah, it's gone. I took it out. You'll see it in the cards at the end. I like the pink and the blue showing through on the card base. I like the opaque white Copic ink, the liquid, the way it just flicked on there with that Tim Holtz flicking tool, and to add the little dots on there. I like it. I'm satisfied with it. I'll send this card out. And thank you as always for joining me. Have yourself a blessed week, and look at the Stampscapes sites. I think you'll really enjoy working with these stamps. I put it behind the pink just to brighten it up so you could see that in the sky. Oh, it's beautiful. It takes my breath away, actually. All right, take care, everybody, and we'll see you on the next video.